So you've got all your data in Excel in a table format, and you're wondering, hey, how do I turn this into a report? How do I turn it into a visualization? Where do I start? And I want to just give some general guidance to get you started that you can then dial in for your own use case. So the basic idea is this. Start by just saying, hey, what is the most important metric here? What am I trying to tell a story about? Is it about revenue, sales? If it's in marketing, is it about impressions? Is it about reach, engagements? Choose the individual metric. If you're having trouble with this, go and talk to the person you're making this report for and understand their needs, understand what decisions they're trying to make based off of it. What you're trying to do is you're trying to answer a question ultimately, right? So figure out what that question is and then start just with the metrics themselves. I like to always have a little section at the top of my data where I'm just saying, hey, here's the top metrics that I know I want to include in this thing, and I just list them out. In my reports, I like to put these into text boxes, and that's just by pointing a text box using the formula bar at a cell. I can do more subtle changes to the design that way. Next, look at your data tables and kind of understand what they're reporting. In this case, I've got monthly sales and gross margin over time. I know that that is plotted over time, which means it's going to lend itself pretty well to some kind of time series chart. For beginners, if you're just starting with this, drop in a line chart or drop in a bar chart showing the change over time. If you've got data plotted over time, it usually makes sense to show it over time because people are often going to ask, hey, is my performance this month higher or lower than usual? They kind of want to have a sense of which direction everything's moving. Also, in most situations, it makes sense to take the time to think about how to aggregate or summarize the metric to give useful insights. In this case, for sales, I have the sales value, but I also show how much it's changed since the previous month. In many situations, that's the first question people ask when they see the data, so I just include it in there right off the bat. I also might consider things like lifetime. How is my performance overall across all of the data reported? What is the average or the median or whatever you want to use in this case? There's almost always going to be a place for those summary metrics just to give people context so they understand the data that you're reporting on. You also want to consider the categories or the segments of your data. Is your data broken down by product, by region, by sales category, any of those things? In this case, I have state level reporting, so I decided to show a little geo map. I also know that this is broken down by in-store, online mobile, and online desktop sales. I broke it down by those categories as well. Almost all data is categorized in some meaningful way, so it's usually worth including. You can use a donut chart if you want. Some people hate donut charts. I personally think they're still very valuable. Or you can use a bar chart, anything that just gives proportionality and shows you, hey, how does this metric break down by these key category areas? If you just use those basic principles, you can typically fill up the entire report. That's usually enough. Put in a great series of useful, actionable data and visualizations that give context and help people understand what is being reported to them. Anyway, I hope that helps everybody. That's just a brief way to get started on choosing data for your reports. If you have any questions, let me know. If you want this template or any like it, I've got a free newsletter linked on my account where I send these out to help you kind of get started, give you a little tutorial on how to start building your own reports. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye.